Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Passions Podcast. I'm your regular host, LeTara, here today with Monique, my guest host for the week.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Monique. I'm so glad to have you on that. We've had some struggles scheduling, right? So I'm thrilled to get you on. Monique has been like doing the book club with me, which has been so fun, and I've learned a lot of, honestly, like we talk about the books a little bit, and we mostly like just kind of talk shit about passions, and then also I've been learning a lot about wrestling, pro wrestling from Monique and a couple of other people on that who are super into it. So Monique, before we get started, how about you introduce yourself and tell people kind of how you got into passions or what your passions origin story is?
All right. So, hi, everybody. My name is Monique. I started watching Passions. I used to watch Days of Our Lives when I was a teenager. And I remember actually the commercial for Passions when it was introducing Teresa and going, okay, this chick is crazy. I like her. Let's go ahead and let's see what this is about. I watched the first episode that summer. A lot of stuff was going on in my life during that summer, of course, and Passions was really my escape. Mm-hmm. I watched the episode, saw the first episode when I was staying at my grandma's house, and the rest is history. I've been hooked ever since. It was really just a way for me to escape and just to enjoy something a little bit different than my life, you know?
Yeah, your story is a lot like mine. I also would watch Days of Our Lives, and then it came on afterwards. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. So I feel like you and I are on the same page about a lot of things in this show. So I'm really excited to talk about it. We're going to start this week with magic. Okay, so this week, I'm just going to say it was boring. I was bored.
It was really boring. I sat there and I was just like, oh gosh, really? I'm going, yeah, this week is not it's a little boring.
It ain't it. It was so boring. I was like, okay. And I was thinking it was going to be like really good because it's like episode 400. Like it's 396 to 400, by the way, if I didn't say that. 396 to 400. So I thought that but it makes sense that it was like once we get to 401, that's when like the things start to pop off. And honestly, 401 to 405 was a little bit boring. Towards the end, you get a lot more stuff. But I was surprised that these like episode 400 wasn't more explosive.
I mean, basically, this is how I feel about it. It's boring because this is the calm before the storm.
Oh, yeah.
Some shit. Can we cuss on this? Can we cuss on this, by the way?
Have you listened to the podcast?
Is it okay if I cuss? I'm not used to cussing in Zoom meetings. But no, the shit really does hit the fan. This is the calm before the storm. It's the anticlimax is what they call it. It's before we hit the crescendo and we're going, okay, this is going to be terrible from this point forward. But
yeah.
And by terrible, I mean good. But
yeah,
we have yet to get to the meat and potatoes. And honestly, the magic stuff, the only thing that I can say about it, of course, is just Timmy and Tabitha. I forgot how enjoyable they were together.
They're just doing goofy shit. It's ridiculous. Like Passions at this point has decided, oh, we're just gonna do a bunch of Hitchcock references and like really lean in. So they did The Birds, and now we're doing Psycho. But let's actually start in harmony before we even get to Timmy and Tabitha, because their whole thing is ridiculous. Let's start with Kay, who has found out that her mother is pregnant. Okay. Sam and Grace have announced to the children that Grace is pregnant. I would not have done this soon.
Well,
at like 45.
Well, here's the thing too. Here's the other thing. It's not really a plot point. It's a good plot. It's a really good plot point to think about it. I know I'm using that incorrectly. Don't judge me. I'm tired. It's a good plot point, but personally, like if you've been pregnant, you don't really announce your pregnancy until you're good far enough to say, hey guys, having a baby. Like 3 months is the best thing to do.
Right. And that's for somebody who is like in the midst of their childbirthing years. Like they've already established that Grace is going to have a high risk pregnancy, that this is a very high risk pregnancy for her. They've established this. Eva said it like 3 times. Okay. So like the fact that she was like, yeah, I'm going to just tell my kids, because if something happens, and we know that something happens, like your kid, I was watching something recently, and it was Married to Medicine. And one of the women on that show, she suffered a miscarriage. And she was talking about how she really, really regretted telling her kids that she was pregnant so early, because she then miscarried at like 8 weeks or something like that. Like it was like really early. And she could have avoided, and her kids are young. Her kids are like 7 and 9. So they were really upset, and like it really like she had to explain to them what happened. And it's hard. How do you explain a miscarriage to a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old? You know what I mean?
It's very difficult that's a very hard thing to explain to somebody that young. But of course, Kay and Jessica they're teenagers. And so she's done this before. And of course, she's got 3 kids. And of course, I mean, I'm not trying to say how old Grace is, but I think Grace is in her 40s. Mm-hmm. Of course, after 35, your risk of anything when you're a woman, when you're pregnant, is severe. Like, it's pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
And so the fact that I understand that she was so excited and that she wanted to tell everybody, but my thing is, girl, like,
well, like you said, she's 45 and has had 3 kids. She knows better. You would think she knows better. But anyway, she told them that she's pregnant. And now Kay is like lamenting the fact that she can't get excited because she doesn't have a soul. It's like, my mom's pregnant and I can't even get excited because I don't have a soul. Let me just tell you, if my mom had got pregnant when I was 16, I wouldn't have wanted to get excited. I'd be like, what in the world is wrong with you? Are you out of your mind?
Well, here's the thing. I'm an only child. Uh-huh. So for me personally, I always kind of looked at my mom and I was like, I never got that. Yeah, I never got that little brother, that little sister I always wanted. And she looks at me and she just goes, well, you're never going to get one now, so don't even start with me. And I just joke around with her and go, so does this mean I'm finally going to get that little brother, that little sister I want? Mind you, my mother is older now. And she looks at me and like, Monique, stop. I'm not going to have any more. But, the simple fact that, Kay is the middle child of 3 siblings. And of course, you got Charity over here, who's just a giant goober, and that she's not excited about it. I'm just going, Kay, girl, Kay, it's not that serious. Just
even if Kay had her soul, she wouldn't be excited about it. I just refuse to believe she would be excited about another child in the Bennett home. Like, I refuse to believe that.
That's the funny thing about it. She would not. I'm like, Kay, we all know you would not be excited about this. Just stop.
Okay? Right. But she can't feel anything. It's interesting that what they've written is that Kay can't feel anything, but she obviously does feel things. Like she
feels stuff. So it's kind of like, which one is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Or can she feel stuff? Because I mean, usually if you don't have a soul, your mom's pregnant, you'd be like, oh, my mom's pregnant. Okay, whatever. Okay.
Right. If you don't have any feelings, you wouldn't have any feelings, right? Well, you wouldn't be upset. You wouldn't be upset that you don't have a soul and you can't get excited. You know what I mean? You wouldn't be able to get upset about it. Whatever. Yeah, it don't matter.
Like, it would just be like, guys, I'm pregnant. And she could just be like,
yeah, cool.
Oh,
Party.
Great.
Okay.
Awesome.
So anyway, she can't get excited. Meanwhile, Hecuba's like telling Kay, don't worry about that. You'll be able to get your soul back as soon as you get your parents to go to that party and leave Charity here alone with you. And so Charity is downstairs in the living room, and she starts having these visions about, and very clear premonitions about this party. Very, very clear premonitions about what this party is. What we see is all of the people in Harmony who are invited to this party. So there's Sam, Grace, the Hotchkisses, Ethan and Teresa. Everybody's there. Eve, TC, she sees everybody there. And Gwen and Rebecca are laughing hysterically
Yes, like hyenas, and they're all saying Sam's son, Sam's son. And I'm like, Charity goes, I don't understand these visions. I don't know what's going on. I'm like, girl.
Everybody, yes, everybody in the room is chanting Sam's son, Sam's son, Sam's son. Gwen and Rebecca are laughing, and Teresa is looking at Ethan, and Ethan is looking at Sam, and Sam is looking at Grace, who is crying and really upset. How do you, so then when they say, like, what is it that you're seeing? She's like, I don't know. I just know that very soon Sam will have a son. That's what she says. Bitch, what? How is that what you are getting from this premonition? How's that the only thing you're getting from this premonition?
Simple. I'm sitting there and I'm going, you know what? I can read the tea leaves better than you can. But then again, I also know what's going on. But you're sitting there and you're going, oh, Sam's going to have a son really soon and blah, 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 blah. And I'm going, Charity, it's right in front of you, dear. It's right there. They're all there.
She tells Grace, Aunt Grace, I don't think you should go to this party. I'm just getting a really bad feeling about it. I don't think you should go. That's all she says. I'm getting a bad feeling. Not that I see you in full-blown hysterics and falling to pieces at this party. Because that's what she's seeing on the TV, in her vision. And is what I was seeing on my TV. In her vision. But she doesn't say that, which is nonsense. Oh, Charity's the fucking worst. She's so awful. I can't stand her. I really couldn't. This was really annoying to me because it's like,
I guess it's me being devil's advocate, but I'm just going, well, maybe it's too traumatic for her. I'm going, still, you say something like, hey, and Grace, look, I just want to say something right now, okay? I understand y'all want to go and have fun, but I recommend that you don't do it because, I mean, you're going to get embarrassed. It's going to be bad. So maybe you should stay home. There's another way to do this, but you're going, I really don't think you should go to the party. I just got a bad feeling. Girl, you have an idea how many times Charity's had a bad feeling about something and we've just been like,
well, it's confusing to me too because sometimes they don't show us any premonition. They don't show us what it is that she's seeing. She just says, like, I have a bad feeling and I'm getting these bad feelings. And if they did that this time, that would work for me. I would be like, okay, she's getting a bad feeling about it. They shouldn't go to the party. But when they do show us the premonitions, like remember they showed us all of the times where she was in bed, not her, Eve and Julian were in bed together. Yes. They showed that to us. She saw that and she was able to verbalize what it was that she was seeing. So I don't understand like why they made this decision this time to show us the exact vision, but not give her the ability to verbalize what it is that she's seeing.
I think maybe this time it's because it's her family and it's supposed to be so traumatic for her that she can't say anything. But I'm just going, still, if I had a vision of my aunt who was pregnant and she was being embarrassed at a party and you got Gwen and Rebecca Hotchkiss sitting there cackling like hyenas, you know, looking like complete losers, and Teresa's looking upset and Ethan's looking upset, I'd be like, hey, maybe you guys shouldn't go to this party because some stuff's about to go down and it's going to be really embarrassing. And those two are evil and mean and they're going to cackle like hyenas. I mean, I'm just saying it right now.
Right.
But she doesn't say anything about it to anybody.
Well, and so Grace and Sam obviously doesn't even want to go to this party anyway. Like he's looking for a way out, which is my favorite. Which is my favorite thing about Sam. That's my favorite thing about Sam. He might be bad at his job, but I love that he like just does not ever want to go to these parties. Like I love that he's just like, I'd rather just stay home with you and not go to this party. I like, can't we just go to the Lobster Shack like we always do? I love him.
Honestly, if Sam could, he would throw himself down the stairs and go, you know what? I broke my back. We can't go to this party.
Yeah. I mean, if I were him, I would just like make up an emergency. Like I'm the chief of police. I got to go deal with some police shit. I can't be there, but whatever. He didn't do that, but he was looking for a way out of this party. And so this was like the perfect opportunity. Okay, no, you know what, baby? Charity's not feeling good about us going. We shouldn't go. So he's like, no, we're not going to go. Grace is like, yeah, I want to stay here with Charity too, because she's just going through something. Obviously, y'all need to be getting this girl some help, but that's neither here nor there. So they decide to stay home from the party. But K My girl Kay is like, no, Charity. She guilts Charity. Oh, I love every guilt trip she runs on Charity. Is just
Gaslit
beautiful.
Charity. She gaslit her. And I was like, this is why I love Kay. This is why I love her.
like, it's so nasty, but she's doing it because she needs to get her soul back. But also, it's like, but also what she says is makes complete sense.
It's true.
If we didn't know that Kay was in cahoots with Hecuba, what she would be saying, what she is saying would be totally reasonable and not villainous at all. But because she is in cahoots with Hecuba, it is totally villainous. But she's saying to Charity, you know, saying to her parents, first of all, she says, like, you guys should go to the party. Charity will be fine here with me. And she basically tells Charity, like, people are calling you the Bennett's weird niece. Like, you are ruining things for everybody in our family, and people are talking about it, and you're making our family look bad. And like, she's not completely wrong, but, and I mean, she's like, what, 16? So I can forgive her this. Because her parents should be getting Charity some help, because I'm sure the people in town are calling her the Bennett's weird niece. You know what I mean?
I think it's so funny when she sat there and she goes, Charity, you're upsetting my mom, and my mom is having a baby. And I'm going, Kay, you don't give a damn. But you know what? The way you're saying this right here, it makes it look like you give a damn. I know damn well you don't care at all.
Yeah, she was like, you're upsetting my mom, and you just heard that stress could hurt the baby, and you're gonna hurt the baby. What if something happens to mom? Like, Jesus, Kay.
I'm going, Kay. That's when I said it. I'm like, Kay is out here gaslighting. I'm going, you know what? I'm here for it.
The parents agree to go, partially because of Kay, partially because of Charity, but mainly because TC calls and is like, where the fuck are y'all? Y'all told us you were coming to this fucking party. Have you ever gone somewhere and somebody was like, okay, this has happened to me a couple of times. I have a cousin who is like, growing up was like my best friend. She's the person I used to watch soap operas with, and like, she's a year older than I am, and our birthdays are like 3 days apart. So we used to do a lot of stuff together all the time. However, there were multiple times in my life where we had agreed to go somewhere and we were going to meet at that place, and it would be like a party, or like a lot of times it'd be like a family event. And like, I don't always want to go to like my family events. Like, I'm just not always in the mood. But if my cousin is there, like, then I'm happy. You know what I mean? So I always check with her, like, are you going? Are you sure you're going to go? And then I'll go and I'll be there, and I'll see that she's not there. I'm like, where the fuck is this bitch? How dare she make me come and sit around with these old people by myself? And so I have to call her and be like, you better get over here right now. And that's exactly what TC did. TC was like, you told me you were coming to this Crane fucking nightmare of a party. I need my buddy here with me. Please show up. So that's why Sam finally was like, yeah, we should go to the party. We did tell them we were going. Like, because that's so shitty to tell somebody, like, who, you know, because y'all are gonna be each other's support
system.
Yeah.
It's kind of like your support buddy, you know, because you're gonna go to this party with all of these stuffy upper crust people. You don't like they don't like the Cranes. You don't like the Cranes either. So y'all are all gonna go to the Crane mansion to this party that's being thrown, and you know,
talk about each other. Not talk about each other. Talk about all the people.
Talk about the Cranes.
Talk shit about the Cranes. Talk shit about the Cranes. Eat their food and drink their booze. Yes.
That's what TC is wanting. I mean, you go, somebody you don't like invites to a party. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to turn to your best friend and you're going to go, okay, we're going. Why are we going? Because we're going to drink their booze, eat their food, and talk shit about them. And then we're going to leave, and we're going to say, oh, we're going to look at them, and we're going to say, oh, that was a lovely party. Thank you for inviting us. Bye. And then we're going to talk shit as we leave. Yes. I need you here to support me, so that way I don't have to feel like a terrible human being by myself.
100%.
That's what that is.
So Grace and Sam go to this party, even though Grace was the only one who wanted to go, but they go to the party. And once they leave, before they leave, Charity says to Grace, she says, like, Aunt Grace, just be strong. Whatever happens tonight, you have to be strong. I don't know. It's just, she's so odd. This girl's
She's
just
weird.
so.
This girl is weird, and not in
She
a good
says,
kind.
she says to Grace, be strong tonight, and just know that very soon Sam will have a son. Huh? Okay. And everybody thinks she's talking about Grace's baby, right? Like Sam and Grace are both like, oh, you must be talking about the baby. The baby's going to be a boy and whatever. Who cares? I don't, whatever. So
Honestly,
they go to the party.
You just go, okay,
Hmm? Oh, yeah.
You go, okay, hun. Okay.
Yeah. So they go to the party. Grace takes a tomato soup cake.
I was about to bring that up. I'm like, you're going to a party with these rich people and you bring a tomato soup cake.
It's Julian's favorite. She says it's Julian's favorite. She says it's his favorite. Because Sam, and you know what's interesting to me is that she has the cake in the cake plate. You can see what it is. Sam says to her, what's that? We've been married for 20 fucking years. You don't know what my tomato soup cake looks like? What's that? It's tomato soup cake. You know this for Julian. It's his favorite. Oh God, I love when they bring in the tomato soup cake. It doesn't add anything to the story, but it just is so ridiculous. And also gives Ben Masters a moment to like do some funny stuff because he's so funny with that cake. But we'll follow them to the party in a moment. But let's finish up here at the house. So they leave. Charity continues to have that same premonition over and over again, and then she just passes out, as she does. Charity always just falling out. They need to get this girl some help. She needs, not only does she need like mental health services, she's passing out all the time and can't remember shit. Like something is wrong with her. She needs an MRI, a CAT scan. They need to do all the scans they can on this girl because something is physically wrong with her because she keeps passing out. And then when she wakes up, can barely remember anything. So she passes out. Kay starts to freak out, which is again, goes back to, can the bitch feel things or not?
I mean, you know, if you have no soul, Kay, you don't really give a damn about Charity anyway. But if Charity passes out, like when you just be like, oh, Charity just fell over. Okay, let me get by and step over her. But then again, I'm thinking to myself, is this the opposite of what having a soul is? You actually give a damn about Charity?
I don't know. It's just sloppy writing.
It is.
So
it is.
Charity passes out. While Charity is passed out, this gives Kay some time to talk to Hecuba, and she talks to Hecuba and asks her if something bad is going to happen to her parents at the party. And Hecuba's like, nope, not that I know of. But then she says, but Charity and I, we work on different frequencies. So she might be seeing something that I have nothing to do with. She's like, all I know is I don't have anything to do with whatever's happening over there tonight. Like, but that doesn't matter because if you want your soul back, you need to get this bitch up to her bedroom. Pronto. Wake her up, slap her up, get her up, and get her up the stairs. So Charity comes to in the living room, and she tells Kay, she's like, can't you hear it? Don't you hear that? Don't you hear that sound? And Kay's like, no, bitch, I don't hear what are you talking about? She's like, it's the sound of lost souls, and they're in so much pain. So much pain is coming for Harmony. They're all around us crying to bring them back home. They're warning us of the pain and the anguish. What does that mean? What does it mean?
Oh gosh. Are we talking about that part when she opens the door to that?
Yeah, it's the same part. Because she starts in the living room. She starts in the living room like that. She starts in the living room like that. And then she like gets up and walks to the door, opens the door. And she's like, can't you hear it some more? Because she can hear it inside the house, but Kay couldn't hear it. When she opened the door, then Kay started to hear something faint, but she was like, I think it might be the wind. What is that? And Charity's like, no, it's lost souls in lots of pain. Lots of pain is coming for Harmony. Pain and anguish.
Funny thing is she just goes, they're here now. And I'm like,
it's okay. I don't understand what it means. Like, is it the souls that Hecuba has like put into her closet. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Again, laziness. Because
I have no idea.
like, why are the lost souls warning you of the pain that's coming to Harmony? Who are the lost souls? Who are these people?
I mean, I have no idea. Honestly, I sat there just watching it, and I'm just going, okay, Charity, you were at a 10. I need you to get it down to about a 5 again, because a 5 is where we need to be. So
Yeah.
that way you can honestly. I felt like it was like talking to my daughter, because my daughter tends to get so hyped up about stuff, and I'm going, okay, you were at a 10. I need you to get it back down to a 5, because if you're at a 5, I can understand everything you're telling me. You are all the way up here. Can you bring it down here just a little bit more, honey? Because I don't know what's going on. Like,
Right.
you're
Well,
not giving me anything. Give me something.
right. Charity's on 10. Like, the souls, they're coming for us. Anyway, meanwhile, Hecuba's upstairs setting up a barbecue in Charity's fucking closet. I mean, I love the gates of hell inside the closet. I don't know why I like that so much, but it is one of my favorite things in the world, I think.
Honestly, now it took me a while to realize what was going on. I was like, oh, wait a minute, this is the hell closet. There was hell inside. Okay, I remember this now. All right, we're getting somewhere. Okay, I didn't think I'd forgot about this. I'm like, okay, now it all makes sense. Okay,
So
so
Hecuba gets it all set up, right? And closes the closet doors, tells Kay, sends Kay the signal, like, bring her up here. It's time, right? So Kay gets Charity to her bedroom door, and Charity's like, nah, fuck this. I'm going to sleep in your room. She's like, no, I don't want to go in my room because hell is in there and there's evil in there. And I know that evil is in there. Kay beautifully like gaslights her again. And is, I mean, this one, but once again, this was dead on, spot on. Like, if I didn't know that Kay was fully in cahoots with Hecuba, I would be 100% with her on this. Where well, maybe not 100%. I mean, I give Kay a lot of grace because she is 16. And now if a grown-up was saying this shit to Charity, it'd be a different story. But because it's like one of her peers, it's definitely a little different. So I just want to just give y'all some before I say this awful thing and that I'm on board with. I'm not really on board with it as much as I'm like, I get it and it makes sense what Kay is saying. So Kay says to her, you got to face your fears, number one. Number two, Miguel is almost missed out on his sister's engagement party tonight because of you. He is constantly having to babysit you. He's going to be missing out on all kinds of things in his life because you need to be babied. Like, you're being ridiculous. Just go to your room and go to sleep. Like, there's no hell in your room. There's no evil in your room. Do you really want Miguel to suffer and spend the rest of his life making sacrifices to baby you? Oh my gosh. I was like, oh, that's the right angle. It was the exact right angle. And Charity's like, you're right. I need to face my fears and sleep in my room. And so she goes in her room, and I think that's like where we ended. Like, there's nothing there. That's where we ended with them this week. So let's talk about Tabitha and Timmy, who are plotting their escape out of town. With Timmy has a plan to make fake passports for the two of them. And this was actually so stupid and took up so much time, but I loved it. So he wanted to make fake passports for the two of them, but Tabitha's like, oh, you're forgetting one important little detail. I can't be photographed because I'm a witch, and witches can't be I won't come up in pictures. So they decide to make like a wax mold of her face and make like a mask, and it works. They take the picture with the mask over her face. I mean, obviously it is actually Tabitha, it's actually that actress, and she does this thing where she pretends like she can't move her lips when she's talking, so she's like, Timmy, is it ready yet? Are we done? So she can't move. and they take their pictures and it turns out fine. He uses not Photoshop, they call it something else. I can't remember, but it's basically Photoshop to do it. So Timmy's like a master at Photoshop. He makes fake passports. Here's the thing though. They don't need passports. They didn't leave the country. They flew across the country. They didn't need passports.
Now that was where that's actually an interesting thought. I never really understood that. I'm like, wouldn't they just need fake IDs?
Right. And this is like pre 9/11. So it really was like flying was lax. Like, you just get on airplanes.
I mean, that's the other thing too. I'm going, wouldn't you just make her a fake ID, like a fake driver's license,
I guess it's the same concept, but they called it a passport. I guess it's the same concept, but yeah, they called it a passport. But yeah, wouldn't you just need a little ID, like easy little laminated ID card? But whatever. Either way, the issue is that she needed to take a picture and she couldn't take a picture. So they do all this nonsense. He also sends that same picture to HarperCollins for the photo on the back of her book. Yep. And so that's the picture on the back of the book, Hidden Passions. And then he starts telling her, yeah, I found this hotel in the middle of nowhere on the other side of the country. Hecuba will never catch up with us there. And also Tabitha wants to get out of town because her book is supposed to be hit the shelves. And she thinks the people of Harmony are going to come after her and try to like burn her at the stake again. So she's like, we got to get the fuck out of here. So they head off to this motel that Timmy found on the internet. And it's basically the Bates Motel.
Pretty much.
He's talking about it and you realize, oh, Norma. Oh, but he said Norman. He didn't realize that it was a woman named Norma. Norman. And he lives with his father. And like, even though in the movie it's a mother, but all of this, they run, a mother and a son run this place together, blah, blah, blah. And Tabitha the whole time is like, that sounds so familiar. Why do I know this? Why does that really ring a bell? And in the subsequent weeks, we continue with this trend of her like, this all is so familiar to me. Why is this so familiar to me? Until she gets hacked up. That's coming, everybody, but not this week. So they head off, they get on the airplane and they have airplane shenanigans. Do you want to talk about the airplane shenanigans? I was annoyed.
Can I say this right here? The fact that the stewardess was like, your doll can't be here. You need to get your doll out of here. And I'm just going, oh, well, I mean, why couldn't Tabitha have a security buddy, somebody to come with her? She'd never been on a plane before. You can make up something. But the whole situation with putting Timmy in storage under the plane, I'm going,
that's not what happened. Here's what happened. And it was completely reasonable. And when you fly, you have to stow big things in the overhead compartment. This is a thing everybody knows. And if it can't fit under your seat, then you have to stow it in the overhead compartment. And she wanted to hold him on her lap, but because he's a doll, a giant doll, the hostess, or what do they call it? Flight attendant was like, you have to stow him in the overhead compartment. Now Timmy got all upset about this, and they put him in the overhead.
I got upset about it.
I didn't. Timmy's been in way worse situations than this and did not freak out like this. It was ridiculous. It was absurd. You rode a shark, for God's sake.
I got upset about it because, simply put, I'm going, that thing is tiny and compact, and no, he needs to be out. I'm going, that's terrible. Why couldn't you put him under the seat?
Timmy rode a shark. He dug up a grave. He's been like zapped by a witch. He's been down in the ruins of Harmony. She put him in the washing machine at one point. I think she put him in the oven at one point, in a blender at one point. He's been through a lot worse than being in a pretty spacious overhead compartment.
I don't know why, but I was just like, that's messed up. You know how they're just gonna do Chippy like that. But I'm going, now that listening to you say it now, I'm going, yeah, he needed to be put up. But
I was just so annoyed that he like was blowing their entire cover just because he had to be stowed for 10 minutes. It was only for takeoff. He only had to be stowed for takeoff and landing. So it's like, just go up there, lay down, shut the fuck up. But he's like screaming inside the overhead compartment. And this was interesting though, because they have like, up until this point, we have been basically told that when Timmy is in doll mode and doesn't look like a human, that nobody can hear him talking besides Tabitha, because his mouth isn't moving and it's basically kind of like thoughts. But all of a sudden, this flight attendant, maybe she's got magical powers. This flight attendant could hear him screaming even though he was in doll mode. And anyway, then she opens it. She's like, there's sound coming from up here, and then he falls out and he starts talking to her. It's stupid. It's so dumb. And she's like, that doll talked. I'm gonna tell the pilot to turn around and go back to Harmony. What? Girl, we got places to be and places to go. And so one of the guys on the plane is like, oh, I know what that is. It's one of those very expensive animatronics. And all is well. The lady's like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was an expensive doll. It was dumb.
All of that was, like I said, it's an old school saying of, we did all of that to go around our ass to get to our elbow.
Yeah. Eventually they get to the Bates Motel and check in with Norma, who then we see all her like murder tools and whatever. Let's move on. Let's actually follow Sam and Grace, who have gone to the mansion to this party. First of all, they show up to the party and they're outside, and the tabloid reporter has shown up to the party as well and is trying to get inside. But he's stuck outside. He sees Sam and Grace come up and he's like, oh, this will be a great time to get like their reactions before we can get like a before and after, you know what I mean? Like, let me talk to them before I've dropped this bombshell about Ethan being Sam's son, and then I'll get their reactions afterwards. So he stops them and wants to talk to them. Sam's not into it because he realizes the man is like a reporter and from the press, and he's like, no, I don't talk to the press. Grace is so annoying, and it's just like, but I really want to tell you that Ethan's a great guy. Like she's telling this reporter about, because he asked them, I think, what are their thoughts on Ethan Crane. Sam says like no comment, and Grace is like, well, I don't want them to think that you don't like him. So until she's telling him all of this stuff. Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't like him. I don't like him. Shit. Nobody likes Ethan but Teresa and Ivy. And Ivy just barely likes him. She tolerates him. She loves him. She loves her son. I don't think she likes him.
No, not really.
How could you?
I mean, her son's a little, it's one of those things where you go, oh, he's wonderful. He's so sweet as pie. He's an idiot. Bless his heart.
Exactly.
Dumb.
So anyway, Grace tells this reporter, we think Ethan's a lovely man, and we know that Teresa's a lovely young girl. And I think at one point she says, like, anybody would be proud to have him as a son. Yikes. Spoiler alert. And then they go into the party. And once they go into the party, Rebecca sets her sights on Sam and is like, all the players are in place. Let me start stirring up some shit. And so she goes over to Sam. She like makes a beeline for Sam and just like starts talking to him about like who his first love was. He's like, so Sam, did you have a first love? Who was your first love? And he was like, did you have a hard time getting over your first love? I think maybe she did this under the guise of like Ethan was Gwen's first love kind of thing. And so they were kind of having that kind of conversation. But it was very uncomfortable.
Very
And Grace is just sitting there like looking at him like, yeah, honey, who's your first love? What happened with your first love?
Can I say this right now? Can I say this? And this is what drives me insane. Sam and Grace have been married for 20 years. He never told her about Ivy. That's the one thing that I'm going, I understand you were heartbroken, but you got this new woman right here. You've got this woman right here. You're in love with Grace. You never once sat there and said, you know what? I didn't tell you about my first love. I didn't tell you about Ivy. He never told her about Ivy.
It's interesting too, because in later episodes, because I've already done like a couple episodes beyond this, and he talks about, it comes up, but not in the context of him and Ivy. It's like a friend of mine was in this situation, and he says, well, at first the woman was going through a really hard time and he didn't want to upset her. Then he says, and she says, well, okay, that was at first, but what about later? And he says, well, so much time had passed, he didn't see the point. And let me just say, I want to say, up until the point when Ivy started trying to get with Sam, I would have absolutely been like, why he does, there's no need to tell, there's no need to tell Grace. If Ivy's not in your life, there's no significance, no need to tell Grace about Ivy. But if once Ivy inserted herself into their lives and was trying to get with him, like, clear, he should have told Grace immediately, Ivy is trying to make out with me, and let me tell you why. And I'm sorry that I didn't tell you sooner, but she wasn't part of our lives. She broke my fucking heart, and I just never wanted to talk about it. And I think Grace totally would have understood. But at this point, it's like, ugh, this lady's been in my home. I've been in her home.
Ivy's out there. I mean, he should have at least told her, because Ivy's on a mission to just blow up her life too. I mean, you know, she wants her husband.
Yeah.
He should have at least been like, hey, my ex, hey, you know, you remember, you could have at least told her at the beginning, like, I was in love with this girl, you know, she was a rich girl, lovely, you know, we broke up because, you know, her dad, she married some rich guy and we broke up, and I've never spoken to her. You know, we did have one night where we did, you know, have sex, and then that was the end of it. I never heard from her again, never saw her again, the end.
Yeah.
But as soon as Ivy started popping up into his life, you should have been like, you remember when I told you back in the day about how, you know, I had this girl I dated, she was a rich girl, blah, blah, blah. She married this guy, I didn't really like the guy. Yeah, it's Ivy Crane. You might want to be careful, hun.
Right. You know, it's interesting because for me, whenever I'm like seeing someone, early on, I think it's kind of a red flag if that person starts talking about their ex a lot. Like, if you bring it up a little bit and say like, oh, this is what happened, and, you know, and we move on. But if you bring it up more than once or twice, is like, first of all, what are you trying to groom me for something? Like, are you trying to make me think like bad things about this woman that I don't know her, so I'm not going to think bad things about her? Number one. Number two, I don't care about that bitch. Focus on me. Stop. me. So I get Sam not saying anything to Grace at first. I totally get it. But again, once Ivy popped up again, is like, yeah, I gotta tell you what's going on. He should have. But
this is my thing though. My thing is, of course, when you're first in a relationship with somebody, especially when you're married to them. When you're married to somebody, and I've been married, I'm technically separated, but when you're married to somebody, you have to, it's pretty much, you're both in this together. You have to know everything about this person. They have to know everything about you. There's really no secrets between the two of you. You share your lives together 24/7. And so, for the simple fact that this is a man who wanted to marry her in the beginning, wanted to marry her and married her, he should have told her in the beginning before the show started, because that way, when she showed up again and he saw the intention that she had, he could have been like, hey, I need to warn you
right
about this woman.
Yeah.
Don't trust her. You can trust her a little bit, but don't trust her, because this woman is trying to go after me.
Yeah.
That to me, as I guess as a wife, to me, I would be like, oh, okay, you care about me. Whereas he's keeping this a secret from her, and it's gonna blow up in her face.
Yeah.
And she's gonna look really foolish at the end of this.
Well, let's move on. So Grace is hanging out with at the party, and she's so excited. She tells everybody that she's pregnant. She tells everybody. She tells Ivy, Pilar, TC. I think TC already knew, but like Ivy and Pilar, she tells these people that she's pregnant. Ivy damn near faints. Okay. She says, and then she says, yeah, we think Sam's gonna have another son. And Ivy's like, no. Okay, Ivy, like, what the fuck? You know, and then they just kind of gloss over that, as they do. And that's really where we leave it with them this week. Ivy has found out that Grace is pregnant. She's upset because she's like, Sam already has a second son. Sam has Ethan's his firstborn child.
Yep. And
Jesus.
then he's got another one. It's like, oh gosh. But no, it's what's funny is what Grace is doing is what any person who finally gets pregnant does. That's what I'm realizing now. You know, when you get pregnant and you're finally, like, especially you've been trying after this age, you're gonna tell everybody. You're gonna tell everybody. You're gonna tell people on the street. You're gonna call people in the phone book and go, "Hey, just want to let you know I'm pregnant."
Yeah,
it's cute, but it's not perfect. It's not the right time and place right now. My heart is actually gonna break for Grace in a little bit.
Yeah, well,
what's gonna happen next? But
so that's what's going on with Grace. Honestly, that they and I'm sorry, Grace, Sam, Ivy, that whole thing. Let's quickly talk about Eve, because Eve is running around this party trying to get Julian to stop Alistair from playing the tape of Sheridan's hypnosis. So just a reminder to everybody, Alistair has decided he's stolen the tape of Sheridan's hypnosis where she admits to Martin Fitzgerald's murder. And he's going to play it at this party so that Louise will break up with Sheridan, and hopefully Ethan will break up with, or not Ethan break up with her, but Louise will forbid Teresa from marrying Ethan. Right? So that's like the plan. Eve knows all about this and is like super invested for some reason. I mean, I know why she's super invested, because she lied. Eve's super invested because she fucking lied and can lose her license. She makes this about Sheridan and Louise's love, but it's really about her own ass. Right? We know this because she can absolutely lose her license for this. And Alistair says as much to her about it. She lied to Sheridan about it. I mean, hypnosis, I don't even know if hypnosis is like real medical science. I don't know that I would call it medical science.
It's a pseudoscience, in my opinion.
I mean, I don't know enough about it to really say, but I wouldn't call it medical. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I don't know much about it. Who am I? I have an opera degree. What the fuck do I know? So, she's running around this party. She finds Julian, and tries to get him to keep Alistair from playing the tape, saying she'll do anything. And he's like, anything? She's like, not that, you fucking sleazeball. And then she says to him, "What? You should just do something decent for once in your life." And she calls him a coward. She says she lost everything all because she loved him. She starts like letting some stuff out to this man.
When she said, "I loved you," he goes, "You loved me."
Right. He was.
Julian's heart grew 2 sizes
that day. Yeah. Julian, he really was surprised. He really looked genuinely surprised. Like, I thought you knew y'all were in love. I don't know. Anyway, so she changes the subject back to Sheridan because she had gotten on to them for a second. She's like, you were a coward, blah, blah, blah. And I lost everything because I loved you. And he says, you loved me? She's like, that's neither here nor that doesn't matter. What matters is Sheridan. Let's get back to Sheridan. And says, she says that you wouldn't even protect your own baby. Why would I think you would even try to protect your own sister? Ooh, it was sad. Oh, and she storms off. She storms off and runs directly into TC, who has heard everything and then realizes that it was Julian's baby who died. So earlier on, and I don't know if we talked about this yet or not, because I think that was in a different place, but earlier on, TC overhears it was last week. TC overheard a conversation between Ivy and Eve where she says the baby died. Like, she just says it really loudly. And TC realizes that thinks it was a patient of hers who had a baby. And she tells him, like, she had this baby, but the baby died and the father wasn't around and blah, blah, blah. So now he's like trying to put two and two together, but he's an idiot. So he says, oh, it was Julian's baby, wasn't it? I would never be with a woman who could ever be with Julian Crane. Like, oh God, TC in this line where he says, he talks about, he was like, it was probably a maid who was seduced by Julian. And he says, you're just trying to protect Ivy and Ethan from public humiliation. And that's why I love you, honey. You're such a good doctor and such a good friend to people who don't even deserve it. Then TC turns on the woman. He turns on the woman who's the maid that has been allegedly seduced by Julian.
It was a swing and a miss from TC. Because he's like, they don't want a black person in the family. I'm going swing and a miss. You were right on target.
Well, he turns on this lady. He says, this, what kind of woman would lie down with Julian Crane? Eve tries to defend her a little bit, but he says she had choices and she had options and she could have gotten another job. What? TC, shut up. TC, shut the fuck up. This just pissed me off so bad, especially in the context of like where we are now and how what we know now and the kinds of things that we just don't say when a woman or anybody has been taken advantage of by their employer. Okay.
This is what I hate about it, because he sat there and he looks at her and he goes, I know what you're talking about. I know Julian got some woman pregnant. And I'm just going, oh, it's going to be exposed. Nope. That's why I said it's a swing and it's a miss, because he's going on and on about what she did and da-da-da-da. And I'm going, it's right there. It's right there. We had it and now it's gone. And
he says, what kind of woman would get involved with scum like him? He says, I have zero respect for a woman like that. Okay. Like anybody cares what you have respect. You don't have respect for yourself. You won't even let your doctored wife check your knee because you don't have enough respect for yourself or your fucking wife as a fucking medical professional. Like, fuck you, TC.
What exactly is in that shed, TC? The simple fact that you have a shed here and nobody's allowed to go in it. What is in the shed? I mean, I've got to know what exactly is in the
he goes on and
I know it's in the shed.
He goes on and on and on. I have no respect for any woman who would get involved with a Crane. Only a tramp with no morals would let a Crane take advantage of her in the first place. I mean, but you know what? You just said the phrase, she was taken advantage of. She didn't let somebody take advantage of her. She was taken advantage of. There's this language was so irritating and so maddening and disgusting. And then he goes, and a woman like that, I don't want anywhere near our daughters. And Eve stands up for this girl again, saying maybe he had made promises to her and she fell in love with him and she just made a mistake. Thank you, Eve. Because I mean, of course, Eve is standing up for this woman because Eve is the woman, But I wouldn't be able to be with my husband with that's grounds for divorce.
Can I say this right now? Like, the dialogue in that is so bad. Like, as a woman speaking, like, to hear a man sit there and talk about another woman that way, even if it was me, just to hear that. The dialogue in that is so bad. It's her fault. She did this to herself. And I'm just going,
hell no. That's what I'm saying. It's grounds for divorce. Even if I was in Eve's shoes, even if I hadn't actually had a baby with Julian, I hadn't slept with you, like if my husband is talking like that about a woman, and we have daughters, no, I don't know.
That's the other thing too. Like, what if this was Whitney who did? Whitney is his favorite. Let's just make it very clear. Whitney is TC's favorite child. Everybody who has two kids everybody has more than one kid has a favorite kid. Whitney is TC's favorite kid. I only have one, so mine is
Ah,
my favorite. But Whitney is TC's favorite. They put a lot of emphasis on Whitney. Whitney is she's his favorite kid. She's number one.
yeah.
So the thing that I go is, what if this was Whitney? What if Ethan Crane had gotten Whitney pregnant?
Right. Are you gonna be like, I disown her? He
Uh,
probably would. He probably
yes,
would. He's so
I disown
shitty.
her, slut, da 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 da. Like he took advantage of her and he got her pregnant. You're really gonna do?
She let him take advantage of her. She
She let
let
him do
him.
that. As
Ugh.
a woman and as a mother, it's kind of like, especially a woman, a mother, and a mother of a daughter, like that right there would make me want to punch him in the face.
Yeah.
That was
No.
one of those lines where I was like, I'm gonna hit him.
Yeah.
I'm really gonna hit him. I'm going fast forward because if I keep listening to this, I'm gonna wind up jumping through. I'm gonna wind up kicking something.
I was pissed. I was so pissed. I was so pissed because
It's
God,
so
TC. And it's interesting because sometimes they make TC great, and then you're like, no, I hate TC. But sometimes he's just so loving and warm and kind and understanding. And but it's like you only get that from him if he deems you worthy. You know what I mean? And
or it's his temper. His temper's the other thing too.
ugh,
I'm like, can we get rid of this? I'm like, I guess it's the trope, the angry black man. Can we please get like? Were there any people of color writing for this show? Were there any of them?
no,
Because this trope right
no,
here is so angry.
there could not have been. I do not believe it. I do not believe that a single solitary person of color, not Indonesian, not Indian, not definitely not black, definitely not Hispanic, anybody of Hispanic heritage, like they just because some of the things that happen on this show would not fly if I was a writer in the room. You know what I mean? I was just like, no, we can't write that dialogue.
The simple fact that he's playing basketball, he's playing handball, hurts his knee, and goes, "I'm gonna kill Julian Crane." I'm like, okay, first of all, my knee hurts. I'm not gonna sit here and threaten to kill Julian Crane. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna cuss myself for my knee. I mean, come on now. Like,
well, he blames Julian for his. I wouldn't say I would kill. I don't know if I say I kill him.
Kill him.
He's like serious every time he says is because I feel like a lot of times people say like I could just kill him. Okay, but he's serious. He's like, no, Sam, like be ready with the handcuffs. That's another thing. Your best friend, the chief of the police. Do not tell this cop that you would kill. Like, don't do this. Don't put him. First of all, don't put him in that position. But also, don't incriminate yourself.
Do you have any idea what's going to happen? Number one, the police department that's a fraternity, number one. Number two, as soon as Sam gets interviewed, he's going to go, Julian, the TC sat there and wanted to kill Julian so many times, and you're going to wind up in handcuffs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't sit there and make a threat like that in front of a police officer.
Yeah.
If something happens to this man, you're going to jail.
Yeah. So let's move on. And you got anything else to add on this front?
Honestly, I do want to say this right now. There's one thing that does happen, but I guess we're waiting for the fated couples thing to talk about Chad when Chad kept bringing up the fact that there could be a black Crane, but I'll hold off on that one.
Yeah. All right. So actually, let's go on over there to our fated couples. Let's just pick up with Chad and Whitney, and then we'll go into Teresa and Ethan because nothing really much happens with them. So Ivy at one point walks over to Eve because she sees that Chad and Whitney are dancing together and they're getting quite close. And Ivy is like, you sure it's a good idea to let the two of them get close? I mean, are you sure he's not your son? Like the way Ivy was like so like disgusted watching them dance because she's like, I don't know, they kind of look alike to me. But that's also because she racist. Like y'all look alike. No, but Ivy says it to Eve, saying, you think, is it really a good idea to let the two of them get so close? And Eve gets really annoyed, right? She's like, I told you my baby died. Like, stop bringing this up. The baby died. And that is the part where we pick up where TC overheard that little bit of the conversation. The baby died. So skipping ahead, Chad, while they're dancing, Chad's like saying, one day I'm gonna have me a place like this. I'm gonna have me a place like this mansion. I'm gonna have me a place like, oh my God. He says I'm gonna have me a place like this so many fucking times. I'm so irritated by it. Oh, I'm gonna have me a place like this here mansion. Oh, who wrote it? I just
Honestly, how
but
about he could just say, one day I'm gonna have this. I'm gonna have me a place like this. Like this is gonna be mine. I'm going. Oh, you have no clue how on the
yeah.
nose you are, Chad.
Yeah, he's like,
Oh,
but one day I'll have a mansion like this. I'm gonna work really hard and blah blah blah. Then Whitney's like, well, how would you feel if your wife made more money than you? Which is a good
now
question to ask. Go Whitney.
that was a
And
good one.
and he's
And
like,
what his response? Honestly, his response was a chef's kiss. I was like, that's a man right there.
yeah. He was like, I would love that. That'd be amazing. We're partners, that would be. I would love to have an accomplished wife and a wife who makes even more money than I do, and we work hard together and we build together. And it was really sweet. I love Chad. I really love Chad. I hate what they do to Chad in subsequent years, but I love him right now. I really do. I
Just when
really
he
do.
sat there and he walked into the Crane Mansion, I'm going, oh, and he's like, I'm gonna have plates like this. I'm going, oh, Chad, you have no idea how on
Yeah.
the nose you are.
So
You have no idea.
later every black person in this room sits around a table and has a conversation about what if there's an illegitimate black
Illegitimate.
crane heir.
Can I just say this right now? Seeing all the black people congregate at one table, I'm going, does that table say colored people only?
Well, I'm not gonna lie though, like it tracks. Like literally I've been to several kind of upscale like galas and stuff, and a lot of times there'll be like a table where all the black people like find each other, like the 6 black people in the room find each other and like catch up with each other. I mean, we go around and mingle, but there's always like a table of black people at these places, like, because when you are a black person in majority white spaces, especially majority white spaces of like the upper class, it can be uncomfortable, and you kind of need to find those. It helps to find those people who can help anchor you in the situation. I know from my own experience, because like in the opera world is such a like white space, and then on top of that, a lot of opera goers, especially if you go into like galas and stuff, because I would like sing at galas and stuff. If you go into those kinds of things, those are donor events. So if you go to donor events, it's just rich white people for the most part, and then you might find a couple little black people to hang out with or to anchor to from time to time, just to kind of ground yourself in the situation. It tracks, I'm telling you, man.
I can say it like this. I went to predominantly white schools growing up. This is gonna become completely a whole racial thing, but I went to predominantly white schools growing up. And I can say, like, I was the kid who wanted to talk to everybody. So I would sit with the white kids. I didn't really sit and mingle with everybody. And so I'm going, isn't that the purpose, to sort of mingle? But now looking back on it now, I'm going, really, when you are the only brown person and you're in a room full of people that are not brown, you find another brown person, you're going to instantly gravitate to them and you're going to want to talk to them.
Oh, for sure. 100%. I also, my high school was 50%, 50-50, like a 50-50 mix. It was really nice. Which was great. Everybody really did kind of talk to everybody and mingle and mix among each other and everything. When I went to college, I would be not just the only black person, but the only person of color in a class of 120 people. Like I would be going to a restaurant and I'd be the only person of color in that entire restaurant. Where I was, it was just extremely white. And yeah, so like when you find a black person is like, or a brown person or anybody of anything beyond like white middle class white people, it's like, oh, let's talk, like even if we don't have anything in common, we do have like we do have a little bit in common in being kind of being a minority in this space, and knowing what that comes with and how you get treated sometimes, so.
And so the fact that they were all sitting there at the table by themselves, I'm going, Oh,
they're
this is the
also
part.
they're also a family. They're also not just like random people. It's like they're also a family. And Chad is 100% part of their family now. Like even if Eve isn't his mother, like he saved her life. He saved Whitney's life like 3 times. He helps TC all the time. Like he's part of the family. So they are family members.
I felt kind of like, I'm like, where are Eve? Like, where's Sam and Grace? Like, come on now. Like, somebody please just sit with them, because to me it's looking mighty suspicious. I mean, I'm a little nervous here.
Well, and it's interesting because they only the suspicious part about this is rarely do we see this family just having a conversation by themselves. Oftentimes it's like Sam or Grace are there, Pilar, somebody else somebody else is there, and it just happens to be happening when they're having a racial conversation. So they left all the white people out of this conversation entirely.
Honestly, and that was one of those like, well, actually it is true to force, because usually when it's a bunch of us together and we start having a conversation, we're like, I bet you, because when he brings it up, when Chad brings up and he goes, I wonder what they do if they had a black member in this family. I wonder what they do if they had a little brown child. I'm going, you have no idea how close you are to this. You have no idea.
No, the conversation tracks. The fact that there's like no other like white people in the conversation, that actually also tracks, like, because I feel like that is the kind of conversation that like black people get together and have and say like, how would these rich white people feel if if they had a black heir?
Had a black person come in here and talk about the heir of the family. I'm going, Chad, baby, you have no idea, honey. You're so close to this. You just, yeah. I'm going, I remember when this it's gonna be good.
I want to talk about one other thing that happens with Chad and Whitney, where at one point after they have this little conversation, Chad takes Whitney to Ethan's bedroom. He takes her to Ethan's bedroom and she immediately is like, what kind of girl do you think I am? You brought me up here just to have sex with me. And he's like, no. I just wanted to dance with you. Like, there's a whole dance floor downstairs, and which is what Whitney says. And he was like, but I want to dance to better music.
You want to be alone with her.
He's like, I want to dance to better music, is what he says to her. He's like, I've got, and then he plays some bad music to dance with her.
Honestly, that was not better music. I'm going, what's this better music gonna be? Come on, what's it gonna be? And then it's terrible. I'm going, you wanted to dance to her with this? Are you serious right now? It
was terrible.
But really, I get it. He just wanted to be alone with her. I was like,
yeah.
Dude, you just want to be alone, okay?
So let's talk about Teresa and Ethan. You got anything to add with Chad, Whitney?
Honestly, with the Chad Whitney stuff, I see, because like when he's bringing up the whole black crane air thing, I see where it's going now, and now I'm excited. Now I'm pumped because I know what's going to happen next, and I'm like, the fallback from this is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Now I'm pumped because now I'm remembering this.
Yeah, a lot's going to happen. So let's go on to Teresa. Let's talk about this engagement party. This engagement party that should not be happening. This engagement party that should not be happening. I just need everybody to understand how ridiculous this whole scenario is. Okay, first of all, let's just run it down. Teresa was planning Gwen and Ethan's wedding. Then on the night before before Gwen and Ethan's wedding, Ethan breaks up with Gwen for Teresa. Gwen then goes to Teresa's house with a fucking baseball bat, tries to murder her, strangles her, locks her mom in a closet, says some kind of racist shit to her. And then the next day, they decide they're going to date each other. Ethan goes on exactly one date with both of these women in the same day. And then he decides to marry Teresa. And then it's Christmas, then it's New Year's. And he, like, all of a sudden, so much time has passed. And now we're having an engagement party. It doesn't make any sense. And not only are we having an engagement party, Gwen is throwing it.
Are throwing it. That's the one thing to me where I'm like,
Mm-mm.
I love Teresa to death. I really do. But this is a lesson she will not learn.
She's too smart for this. This is so irritating when they do this kind of shit, because Teresa is no dumb. Teresa's not a dummy. No, but I guess they're trying to make her super naive. But I don't know, because sometimes she can be so cunning. It's interesting because she has, created all of these elaborate kind of situations and plans in the past, and has been suspicious of Gwen, and this woman tried to murder you.
Love Teresa. I do. I love her to death. But this is a lesson that she is not going to learn. She is going to repeat this again. She is going to learn the hard way. Don't trust Gwen Hotchkiss.
I forgot to include the fact that Rebecca set her up to think that Ethan was using her and then tried to send her to Australia. I forgot that part. It's just like, girl.
She is not going to learn. She is not going to learn this lesson. This lesson is this is going to be repeated.
And they have called her every name in the book to her face.
And her thing is, well, the funny thing is, Pilar. I love Pilar. Pilar don't trust nothing that's going on with those two. She don't trust nothing. And Teresa's like, oh, well, they're finally getting over it. They're being nice to me, mama. No, they're not being nice to you, girl. They're setting you up. They are setting you up. You are a sucker with a capital S.
It irritates me. It irritates me how little power Pilar has. Honestly. Because over her own life and kids. Like, I know for myself and my dynamic with my mother, we're very close. And Pilar and Teresa are very close. And I know that if my mom had warned me, like, these women are up to something, and I had every reason to believe her. You know what I mean? It's not like I don't have any reason to believe this. I have absolutely every single reason not to trust these women. And my mom's telling me, girl, we should not be doing this. We're not doing it.
Can I say this right now? I'm headstrong. Like, I guess that's one of the reasons why I love Teresa, because I'm very headstrong too. But my mom and I are very close to, like Pilar and Teresa are. But my mom has said it to me many times. If you starting to listen to me. I know I'm not trying to steer you in the wrong direction. You need to listen to me from this point forward, because I see what's going on. You don't see it. You've got rose-colored glasses on right now. I tell everybody, I even told her to her face, I said, Mom, you saved me. You saved me and my daughter. You saved me and you saved our granddaughter. I didn't know I needed to be rescued, but you did it. Mm-hmm. Like, the fact that Pilar is telling her, don't trust this. I don't trust this lady. I don't trust her daughter. I don't trust her. I'm telling you to your face right now, do not trust these people.
Listen, if this was my engagement party and my mama, this party would not be happening. Like, if my if Pilar was played by my mother, this party would not be happening at all. Point blank, period.
I mean, she'd have been like, okay, we ain't doing this over here. You know what? We're gonna call Luis and we're gonna get the Boys and Girls Club or the recreation center. We're gonna have it over there. We're gonna cook, we're gonna we're gonna blow balloons up, we're gonna do all of this. I am not going over to that house. I work there for a living. I'm not going over there.
Right. I don't get it.
Why do I have to go back to work is the question I would ask. Why do I have to go back to work?
Yes.
You want me to go back to work? Well, they want to do it at the Crane Mansion. It's really, really nice. Ethan, I'm not going back to work. Y'all understand. I clocked out at 5:30.
Well, Pilar goes back to work. They all go back to this house for this party. And Pilar feels very, very uneasy about it. She keeps saying Gwen and Rebecca are up to something. She says it to everybody in the room. Anybody she has a conversation with, she's like, I just feel very uneasy about this. These women are up to something. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And she is 100% correct.
She's correct.
Meanwhile, Ivy is questioning Rebecca about the party. She's saying, What I don't understand, Rebecca. What is it that you stand to gain from this? Why are you throwing this party? And Rebecca says, well, Ethan is like family to us and he always will be. And we want to make sure that he feels that we are still there's no hard feelings, basically. Ivy does not believe this because it's unbelievable. Ivy doesn't believe it because it's unbelievable. Okay. Nobody's buying what you're selling, Rebecca. So Ivy then accuses Rebecca of trying to worm her way into becoming Julian's wife. She's like, I know what this is about. You're trying to make yourself look good to Julian. So Ivy's off the mark. She's like, you're trying to make yourself look good to Julian.
Technically, she is on the mark, but again, it's a swing and a miss.
She's adjacent to the mark. Like she's close, but not quite. So she's like right catty corner to the mark. Mm-hmm. So she says, I know you're trying to worm your way into being Julian's wife, but she tells Rebecca in no uncertain terms, honey. She says, Julian and I will never be divorced. You will never come between me and Ethan. You can give it up. I will be Mrs. Julian Crane till the day I die. Like, girl, she was like, you're not going to take anything from me. I've decided. Because finally Ivy has decided it, but she's caused too much trouble. If she had just left well enough alone, none of this would be happening. If Ivy would have just left well enough alone,
wanted to blow up her whole life, and then Julian was getting too close to it, then she didn't want to blow up her whole life. Now she wants to blow up her whole life again. Then she want to do it again. And the thing is, I sit there and I go, like, Ivy, like, so now we're at the point now where we're like, you know what? We in this to win this. Let's.
Yeah, no, she has finally resolved that, you know what? Ethan's gonna be a Crane. Nobody can ever know. She burned the papers. Like she resolved a while ago that she was just gonna be, this is what her life is. And her prize is Ethan being the head of the Crane family, even though he's technically Sam's son. So, but if this bitch could have just come to that conclusion a lot sooner, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But here we are. So she tells Rebecca, you can't have my man. I mean, she's like, you can have my man, you just can't have my spot. She's like, you can have my man, you just can't have my title. But have Julian all you want. I don't want him, don't like him, never did, never will. So then Teresa has a conversation with both Gwen and Rebecca, and she thanks them for this party. She says, like, thank you to them for this party. And Gwen says to her, she says, oh, no thanks necessary. We just want to make sure you get everything you deserve. No thanks needed. It will be enough thanks once you get your big surprise. How is Teresa not suspicious of these bitches?
Can I say this again? This is going to be a lesson that she will have to learn. Eventually, she does get smart and she does realize, you know what? You can't trust Gwen and Rebecca. I don't know why you trust them in the first place. But she does get smart and she does realize, you know, hey, they can't trust you too. But when she's sitting there and she's saying it, we just want you to get everything that you deserve. And I'm going, that smile is a suspicious smile. If you smiled at me that way and said to me, I just want you to get everything that you deserve, I would sit there and I'd look at you and I'd go, okay, what are you trying to do to me right now?
Right, after trying to murder me. It's one thing if my best friend looks at me and is like, I want to make sure you get everything you deserve. That being something different than if the woman who came in my house, terrorized me, locked my mama in a closet and strangled me almost to death, said, I want to make sure you get everything you deserve. Those things have two different meanings coming from those two different people.
Who blamed me for her fiance looking in the other direction.
She tried to murder me.
That is when you sit there and you just go, I don't I guess it's just old age now. Or maybe even no, because even before I was like, why are you trusting her?
Yeah. No, when I was 12 watching this, I was just like, no, Teresa, this is ridiculous.
Like, Teresa, honey, she don't care about why are you trusting her like that? Well, I understand you feel guilty and maybe you want to be, you can't be friends with her. Y'all cannot.
We can't be friends. We can't be
Y'all
friends,
cannot
girl. We cannot be friends. We are not friends.
be friends. You stole her boyfriend from her. You cannot be friends with her.
No, y'all
Y'all,
can't be friends.
unless I understand if she was a really, really cool chick and she was like, you know what? I hope you both are very happy together. I obviously don't want him. If she blamed him for what happened with y'all
Right.
and y'all were cool like that, that's fine. But you cannot be friends with her. Like, you can't do that. She does
Yeah.
not care about you. So
Yeah.
the simple fact that she said, I want you to get everything that you deserve. I'm going,
No.
this is not good.
No.
Something got to go down.
Yeah. So whatever. Ethan then makes a speech about how much he loves Teresa and how grateful he is that she's going to be his wife. And then he makes a toast to the most beautiful woman in the world. And Gwen gets really upset, wants to leave, but Rebecca tells her, just wait. The tabloid reporter will be here any minute. Like, just wait for him to get here. He's going to blow all this shit out of the water. So poor Gwen. Honestly, it's hard for me to say poor Gwen. It's hard for me to say poor Gwen, but I stopped short. I stopped short as I was saying it. Poor Gwen. It feels weird coming out of my mouth because, like you said, you let your mother set you up for this bullshit. Like, you really did.
What's messed up is at their wedding, at their rehearsal dinner, he never gave a speech like that to her. He never.
Well, he was ready to quit her. He was already ready to quit her. Like by the time it was the night, that party before their wedding, that day he was ready to let's call the whole thing off. He wanted to call the whole thing off. And so of course he didn't make any speeches to her.
Before, when they were having sex on the beach in the middle of the daytime, honestly, I still don't get that. You're gonna have sex on the beach in the daytime. But anywho, they were having sex on the beach. He never once talked to her like that.
Well, I've said multiple times that Gwen and Ethan don't love each other. They care about each other, but they're not in love with one another. Gwen doesn't love Ethan. Ethan doesn't love Gwen in a romantic way. And you know what? I think Ethan finally came to that, realized that when he realized, oh, I want to marry this other woman. I couldn't possibly be in love with Gwen the way that I am in love with Teresa. So he finally came to that realization. But yeah, no, he is not in love with Gwen. And so he would not have made any speeches like this to her.
The simple fact that Gwen is standing there and she's taking this, and I'm just going, your mama talked you into a lot of mess. She really did.
The whole thing.
You could have easily just swallowed your pride and say, you know what? Happy for both of y'all.
Yeah.
I'm out.
So this is all going on inside. Ethan gives Teresa some earrings. Who cares? They weren't even pretty. But meanwhile, outside, that reporter's still trying to get into the mansion. He just can't. He keeps getting, the Crane security is actually doing their jobs today. And so he keeps trying to get in from different ways. A servant's entrance. He tries to just go through the front at one point. And then I think he just climbs over the back gate and manages to get in, but is immediately escorted out. Like, he gets in and then is quickly escorted out. And then he finally gets in again, and Rebecca catches him being escorted out. And she's like, wait, who are you? And she realizes who he is. And she actually has him go to Julian's office and wait for Julian in his office. And then she finds Julian is like, there's someone in your office waiting for you. How nobody figured out that Rebecca was the person who sent the tabloids this information is beyond me. The fact that Julian didn't get it figured out when she was being so pushy about this person, because he was like, I don't care. I don't want to talk to a reporter. Like, well, he didn't know it was a reporter in this week. It comes out next week that he realizes it's a reporter. But he was like, whatever. I don't want. But she was very, very pushy about it. Very pushy about it. So.
This is when I sit there and I just go, okay, this party is being thrown by Rebecca and Gwen Hodgkins. This stuff is about to come. It's about to go down. Y'all are going to point fingers at other people, but y'all are not going to point fingers at those two.
Right. It's crazy.
I mean, it's really insane. I guess, I guess they must really trust Gwen and Rebecca like that. I mean, when they're both sitting there looking like looking suspicious right there. I mean, I don't get it. I personally
yeah, no, it's ridiculous. But anyway, Julian doesn't go into the office. He takes a call from Alistair instead, who keeps calling and playing this tape like, oh, it's not time yet, blah, 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 whatever. It doesn't matter. Nothing actually happened. I know we have managed to talk about this for like an hour, but or so, like an hour, 15 minutes or so. But literally, y'all, nothing happened this week. Nothing.
It's an episode. Honestly, I sat there and I'm like, I'm watching. I'm going, okay, well, I already know what happens. Nothing. This is
nothing. Then Teresa at one point is talking to Ethan, and I don't even know how they got to this conversation. Teresa's telling Ethan how good of a man Sam is. And then Sam's like, well, I'm just glad I'm not Sam Bennett's son. Where did that even come from? Where did it even come from? He's like, I'm just glad I'm not Sam Bennett's son. He's like, can you imagine me, the son of Harmony's own Dudley Do-Right? And he like thinks it's funny, and Teresa's like, that's not funny. Like, she was like, that's not funny, Ethan. And Ethan asks her, like, why are you so pressed? And she's like, I just don't think you should be disrespecting Chief Bennett. He really is a wonderful person. So I actually, honestly, beyond her knowing that Sam is his father, I think she really was offended because Sam is of her ilk, right? Like, Sam is of her tribe, and he was honestly being really snobbish about him and being real nasty about Sam. And Ethan questions Teresa, like, why do you care if I'm not on good terms with Sam? And she doesn't say anything. They get interrupted.
No, but you know, she's telling the truth though. Sam, I mean, you know, he's not the best cop in the world. I mean, you know, he could do some more work in police training. You know, he can't solve a crime worth a damn, but you know, he's actually a good person.
He is a good person. He's bad at his job, but he should not have his job, but he is a good person. All right, we're going to take a quick little break and say thank you to our patrons over on Patreon. Thank you to Munashe, Marcus, Erica, Breland, Lisa, Zach, Sid, Sarana, Dustin, Heather, Randall. That's my father's name, and I said it wrong. Randall, Ashley, Shannon, Hannah, Camelia, Amanda, Monique, our friend today, Samantha, Amy, Jeanette, Eric, and our newest patron, Jamie. Thank you all very, very, very much. And remember, if you would like to become a patron, you can just go over to patreon.com/Passions Podcast and sign up for whatever tier is agreeable to you. It helps a lot with keeping the show up and running. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Love you all so very, very much. All right. So before we go on, Monique, you don't have anything you want to promote or anything?
No, nothing to promote. Honestly, all of my social media and everything is strictly just personal only.
All right. So we're going to go on and we're going to finish up. We're going to finish up tonight. It's the middle of the day. We're going to finish up this episode with Sheridan and Louise, because I felt like it would be cool to end on something kind of sweet. This was sweet. Sheridan and Louise were so sweet.
Can I just say this right now? The whole thing about just let me just say it like this. Sheridan and Louise is pretty much one giant tease to what's about to happen next.
Yeah.
All I can say to myself is, y'all are gonna have sex, aren't you?
You know, this was one time where I really didn't mind the buildup, the way that they did this. Most of it I like. So let's talk about it really quickly. So Louise goes to Sheridan's cottage to pick her up for Ethan and Teresa's engagement party. And they inside the cottage, they share a toast. They talk about having one incredible night together. Louise is like, maybe we shouldn't go to the party. Let's just like make out. Like, let's just get into fucking.
That's really what it is. I'm sitting there and I'm going, Luis is over here, like he's ready, like he wants to have some sex right now. And Sheridan's like, no, we gotta go to the party. And Sheridan's sitting there and she's agreeing. I'm going, y'all are horny. It's cool.
Well, like Sheridan's doing this. Sheridan's like, no, we have to go to the party. Like she's like really getting real sexual with him the whole time, but it's still like refusing to have sex. It's like, I mean, fine, but she was super into it too. Like no, we have to go to the party while she just like basically is jerking him off already. It's like,
I'm just like, you couldn't do it like I'm going. I said, man, I bet Luis is going, if I don't get a hand job from this. She is teasing the hell out of him and herself. And I'm going, oh God, it's going to be bad when they get home, isn't it?
well, this was crazy because she was like, well, when we get back, we have a lot to look forward to. We're definitely going to make love. Like they have this whole conversation. It's very sweet. But then Sheridan's like, I want to show you what you have to look forward to when we get back. So she takes him to her bedroom where she has like a million candles lit. They're going to just leave these untended flames.
That's just a fire hazard waiting to happen.
She's just going to leave all these candles lit. A million candles lit, flower petals everywhere. Luis is like, no, we definitely should skip the engagement party now. And Sharon's like, no, we have to go. It's your sister and my nephew. Like, we have to go. Of course. And yes, they do have to go.
They do have to go. But this is the part of me where I'm a Virgo. And so, like, for me, I see stuff like this and I go, oh, that's beautiful. Who's going to clean this shit up later?
Right. No, for me, it was like, I saw it and I was like, who lit all those candles? I would be very annoyed that if I had to light that many fucking candles. Who lit all? There were so many candles absolutely everywhere.
And then they just left them there. I'm going, your house gonna burn down.
Your house is gonna burn down.
Your house is gonna burn down. When I saw the rose petals on the bed, I'm going, oh, that's beautiful. Who's gonna clean this shit up later?
I always think about that when I see rose petals, when people, and I wonder, am I just like not very romantic? I guess I'm not very romantic.
Honestly, but I'm practical in a sense. Like if somebody had left rose petals, like a trail of rose petals for me, I'd be like, oh, that's really, really sweet. Thank you so much. So are you cleaning that shit up? Because I'm not doing it.
I mean, I would say like, thanks for trying, I guess, but like, I'm not into this. I feel like, you know what? I feel like if a partner of mine did some bullshit like that, rose petals everywhere, I feel like I would be very annoyed because I'm like, you clearly do not know me.
Honestly, for me,
you don't know me. Take your pants off. I don't care about this.
Like, it's like, you could just, I mean, you know what would be nice for me? What if you just did the dishes? That's the most romantic. What's the most romantic thing somebody could ever do for you? The dishes.
I'm not going to say the dishes are the most romantic thing that somebody could do for me, but I'm going to tell you, like, one of the dishes definitely is high on the list. But for me, it's like, if you come over and you have like all my favorite foods or like some of my favorite foods and stuff, like if you show up with food for me, be still my heart. Like, for real, like cheese sticks, you show up with mozzarella sticks and cheese fries, I'm yours.
I mean, if you just showed up with if you showed up and you're like, you know what, I'm going to cut down those trees in the front of your house, Monique, and here's some Papa's Locust from me ranchos, I'd be like, I'm your girl. Like, that's the most romantic thing ever. No. Like, you know what? Don't worry about it. I got this right here. Like,
if a man showed up, if my boyfriend or whoever, if he showed up with like my favorite foods and drinks, like snacks and stuff, and came in and was like, you want to watch a K-drama? I'm in. The most romantic thing ever.
I mean, even if it was like, hey, you want to watch some Investigation Discovery? No, right. I don't want to do that. I want to be left alone. You give me Papa's Locust. You get the stuff off of my house. You get the tree limbs cut down, and I'm good.
Yeah.
I'd be like, that was the best thing you could possibly do for me. Thank you so much. And then what else did he do? He went home. Yeah,
go home. Go home. That's another one. Go home.
But the simple fact is, let's get back to Sheridan and Luis and this whole Sheridan teasing Luis's dick. There is something to this though, because I'm sitting there and I'm going, I'm watching this and he's like, like, I can't wait, da 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 da. And I'm going, I bet you can't. I bet you can't wait, Luis.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
well. They finally do go to the party and leave the house on fire, and they go to the party, and at the party, Sheridan starts getting an ominous feeling. She says that she feels like someone or something is going to come between them, and asks him if he'll keep loving her no matter what. And he says to her that he loves her more than anything, and nothing's going to come between them, and it's very sweet.
Now, this is the one thing about Sharice that I remember and just being like, oh, they were so cute. Oh gosh. But but it when they're walking and talking and everything, and she does that, and I'm just going, okay, they just got really, really serious all of a sudden. We just went from okay, we're hot and heavy and we're horny to, oh, will you still love me after this? And I'm going,
Yeah, it did get very serious very quickly. That would be kind of I'm not gonna say it's like a red flag, but it's definitely like hot pink. Like
like I sat there and I saw her do that, and I'm going, okay, this is strange coming from out of nowhere. I don't know how you should answer that question. I mean,
well, he answers it beautifully. He says, "No, nothing's gonna
beautifully.
come between us. I will always love you. He'll always love her." He says, the
Mm-hmm.
bodyguard. I mean, he is her bodyguard. That movie did, that song came from the bodyguard. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So nothing's gonna come between us. Nothing's gonna harm you. Not while I'm around. That's Sweeney Todd. I'm sorry. I just got onto a musical kick and I'm gonna get off of it. I promise. Okay, so then they proceed to be extremely loving and affectionate to each other through this party.
Mm-hmm.
Very kissy, huggy, touchy, all over each other. And then they find their way to the they call it a solarium where nobody else is, and she talks about how when she was a kid she was never kissed goodnight after her mother died. Nobody ever kissed her goodnight. And then she finds this old tea set that's been there for 20 years, I guess. Like, Pilar, you're not doing your job, girl. You should have cleaned this up by now.
Say this right now. Can I say this right now? That whole story that she gave about the doll and her dad throwing it
So
away.
sad.
I was like, oh my god. I was like, poor Cher. I was like, oh my gosh, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's messed up,
Yeah. I think that's in next week's episode because that's not in my notes, but that was really sad.
I do remember her seeing the tea set and everything and just being like, that's so sweet and da da da. But it just I felt for Sheridan.
Yeah.
I really did. I was like, wow.
He says at one point she finds a tea set and he's like, oh, how cute. I can just see you sitting around with all your little girlfriends, having a good time, having tea parties. And she's like, I never had any girlfriends. I never had any friends growing up. Julian and Alistair didn't think anybody was good enough to play with me. It was real sad. And next week we dive more into that. But that's where we ended for them this week. Alistair and Julian are plotting to break them up with that hypnosis tape. But
honestly,
it.
Honestly, it was boring, but it's the calm before the storm.
Yeah.
Like, next week it's gonna be pretty epic.
Well, it was nice because even though it was boring, normally when I watch these episodes, I'm like furiously having to take notes, like, oh my God, I got to get this down. I need to get this down. But nothing happened. So I really didn't have to write that much. And so I actually, for once, I could actually really just kind of sit and watch the show or almost passively. So it was nice. But that's it for today. You got anything else to add before we close up?
I can just say this right now. And can I just say this about one thing about Teresa that she did do that I was kind of like, ew!
What?
The whole, like it's gonna, like, she was talking about Cinderella and the ball and everything, and then the clock struck midnight and she goes, is it over? Is it gonna am I gonna go back? I'm going, oh my gosh, girl, you're not, I love you, but you're not Cinderella. Like,
yeah, she thinks she is. I mean, it's a Cinderella story for sure.
Everybody's got a motif, but I'm like, sweetheart, you're Teresa Lopez Fitzgerald.
But it's the version of Cinderella. Have you ever seen Into the Woods by Sondheim?
No, I have not seen that. I have not seen that.
Basically, later on, like, you get the story of Cinderella, right? But then you get like what happens after and how she actually kind of hates her fucking life in the palace. So like it's interesting. So it is similar to Teresa, where once she does get this life, it is not what she thought it was going to be, But anyway, let's say goodbye. Thank you again, Monique. Thank you so much. You were wonderful. Had a great time talking passions with you today. Thank you. Remember, everybody, you can always catch us on social media, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter. I haven't been that active recently, but I'm gonna be getting back into it. I'm sorry. I'm struggling, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm trying. I'm trying. All right. So thank you all. And remember, you are my passion for life. Bye.